Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am Kelly and I am so happy you are here, whether it's your first time or whether you've been here a lot. I'm just glad that you choose to spend a few minutes with me in this video. I'm going to be doing the mid-year freak out tag again. This is always a fun one to do. I love watching other people's answers and I am just going to go ahead and dive right in. So the first question is best book you've read so far in 2024. And I think that I am going to have to go with Elizabeth Gaskell's Wives and Daughters. I recently read this in the month of May with my friend Dia from Novel Idea, and I know this is her favorite Gaskell book, but I have never heard somebody say, I just really hated this Elizabeth Gaskell book. So I think that, it's safe to say that she's a beautiful writer in whatever she does, but I have a feeling this might be my favorite too. I just related so much to the character, Molly. We are dealing with, of course, wives and daughters, like the title says, and the relationship with her father and with potential love interests. And it's just so beautifully deep and human, and I just love it so much. The next prompt is best sequel you've read so far in 2024. Well, there may be one that is better than this, but I was going to talk about it in another one of the questions, so I'm going to answer this one, which was A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to A River Enchanted, and we're dealing with just a very sweet romantic relationship in the midst of earth and fire magic, and it's clean. There really isn't a lot of language. There is a married couple, but we are not taken into the details of their intimacy. So I really have enjoyed it oh so very much, and I liked that duology a lot. I have not read anything else by Rebecca Ross. I know that, is it Divine Rivals? Is that the one that's really popular right now? Is some people love it, some people hate it, but I'm a fan of hers just based on this duology alone. The next prompt is new release you haven't read but want to. Okay, I have this on my Kindle, so this isn't going to be a new release I haven't read soon. I checked it out from the library, and that is For a Lifetime. This is the third book in the Timeless series by Gabrielle Meyer. We have a family who is born with a gift. When they're born, they have two different timelines they live through. When they wake up the next morning, they're in the next timeline. No time has passed when they wake up in the next morning in the other timeline. So I like historical fiction. I like dual timeline historical fiction. So this is a lot of fun for me. Number 4, new release you haven't read. Oh, sorry, I just did that one. Most anticipated release for the second half of 2024. Okay, so my daughter and I really like the first 2 Amari books by B.B. Alston. This is a girl that basically discovers that she has powers she didn't know she had. I like the friendship relationships, the family relationships in it. So the third Amari book should be out, I believe, in September. So I'm looking forward to reading that with my daughter. We don't usually buy new books. Usually there is 1 or 2 new books we purchase for our family a year, unless it's a Christmas or birthday present. So this will be one of the very few new books that we purchase. All right. Biggest disappointment. I don't even know if I want to talk about this. This was very recent and very fresh, but very painful. The King's General by Daphne du Maurier. Up until this point, I've loved every single thing I've ever read by Daphne du Maurier, and I really did not like this at all. It was a historical fiction based on, real events. I didn't like it because I didn't like any of the characters. I wasn't rooting for anyone, and you really have to captivate me if I don't like the characters with the plot, and it wasn't. It was sad. I was Betty reading this with both Dia and Courtney from Courtney Reads, and we all DNF'd it. It was a very sad, sad thing. All right, sadly, moving on. Biggest surprise. Okay, this is the one I said could have been my favorite sequel, but I want to talk about elsewhere. And I want to talk about the second book in the Timeless series. I get them kind of mixed up sometimes. It was In This Moment by Gabrielle Meyer, number 2. I liked the first one just fine, but I loved the second one. It was so good. We have another timeline added in. I'm not telling you too much because I don't want to ruin it. I feel like this is a series best gone in relatively blind. We have another timeline added in. We have different times that we're dealing with, and it just gripped me. It just got my attention. I liked the characters, and I liked that I didn't like hate anybody as much as I did like in the first book. I liked all the characters. All right, a favorite new author or new to you author, and I'm going to say Elizabeth Gaskell, even though I only have read one of her books. I just feel like she's going to be a favorite of all time for me now. I have the feeling I will definitely read more Gaskell books this year. Newest fictional crush. I don't have a fictional crush. I am so sorry. I can't answer this. Other years I've given favorite new fictional couple instead. And I'm just not going to answer this one this year. I'm sorry. Book that made you cry. So I'm not like actually a big crier when I read, even though it invokes emotions in me. I'm not a big crier, but actually In This Moment by Gabrielle Meyer got me pretty close because one of the timelines in the book is one that I have actually lived through. And there were some events that, when I taught my kids about this event in history, I actually had to walk away and go cry for a few minutes because it was just a really hard time for me to live through. Book that made you happy. This is so much more fun to talk about. It would be The Wishing Spell, the first book in Chris Colfer's The Land of Stories series. I just love the fairy tale feel. My family and I listened to this together. Just so much giggling while listening to this book and just enjoyment in it. We really loved that book. All right. Most beautiful book you have bought or received this year. Hold on. So, the most beautiful cover I have received this year. I actually bought this for myself. I have a store called Mardel in my area, and you can go into Mardel to the discounted books section. And this book, brand new, was $24.99. I got this for $3. And it is one of the best books for homeschooling I've ever read. Sally Clarkson is my spiritual mentor in a lot of ways. I love her books, but Awakening Wonder is just kind of her life story of homeschooling her children. And I just love the stars and the trees and then the children. She had 4 children. They're all grown now, but I just thought, oh, that's just so beautiful. And she tells a story in the book about them all kind of sitting out where it's a beautifully starry night in Colorado. So I thought that was just lovely. All right, let's see what the next one is. Favorite book to movie adaptation you've seen so far this year. Okay, so this was so much fun and such a good surprise. So I participated in Alcott April, hosted by a bunch of people, but it was Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia's brainchild. And it was The Inheritance. We read The Inheritance, which was, if you don't know, a book that Louisa May Alcott wrote when she was a teenager. And it was adapted and a lot was changed, but the changes made sense. And I really loved this adaptation. It was so much fun. I highly recommend the adaptation, even if you don't ever read the book, but I did enjoy the book as well. All right, and what do you need to read by the end of the year? Oh my gosh, so much. How much time we have? How long do we want this video to be? Well, I know I've been trying to finish up the Ember and the Ashes series for a while now, and every time I check out that last book from the library, something gets derailed where I don't get to it, and I have to return it to the library. So I want to read that last book in the Ember and the Ashes series and by Sabaa Tahir. And then I plan on, at some point, I think that we might be reading this as a buddy read since The King's General just derailed, Little Dorrit by Dickens. That's the Dickens I haven't read, and the other Dickens I haven't read yet is the Pickwick Papers, so I'd like to get to that by the end of the year. And then I want to get to Dune this year. I have not read Dune, and I think I would love it. So if you've always wanted to read read Dune and you want a buddy read it with me, let me know. But so that is my mid-year freakout tag. I have so many sequels I need to finish as well, but if I talked about them, we would be here until December. So I hope you guys have had a great reading year so far, and I hope you read a lot. Bye-bye.